Welcome to Real Flix Reviews. We're like a book club for people who hate reading. This month we're doing grab bags. So Ryan picked the movie The Pink Panther, made in 1963. He brings you movie news. And this week we have Jonathan Charney, James Stevens, Ryan Preston, and the old guys holding a candlelight vigil at the grave of Phyllis Diller. So who has a description of this movie?
I actually don't like the description of this movie. He's not really bumbling until he became Steve Martin took it over. He was just kind of a goof. Anyways.
And kind of a klutz, but yeah, bumbling might not be the right word.
Bumbling is not the word I would use.
What?
I mean, Steve Martin's version, yeah.
So before we argue about the description, let's actually read it first. Then we can argue.
It's stupid.
It's IMDb. It's.
Whoever you wrote this, shut up.
Hopefully you wrote it better than the way he just said that
I wonder if they actually just copy and paste it from Steve Martin's.
So, Ryan, you have the description?
I can find it.
Here, I got it in front of me. I just pulled it up.
They did.
So, bumbling and
They
conceited
copy and
French
pasted.
police inspector Clouseau tries to catch the Phantom, a daring jewel thief whose identity and features are unknown and is acting right under his nose. And I guess to describe this, I would say this is pretty much like a live-action cartoon. That's kind of the way it seemed to me.
Pretty much.
And it's not, because this is supposed to be a comedy, but this is like 1960s comedy versus today.
So you mean smart humor?
But okay.
I would preference it by saying the fact that if you're expecting like a modern comedy, this doesn't deliver like the ridiculous jokes per minute. This movie, I think, is very picky.
John, Jesus, man, they're watching The Pink Panther made in 1963. I don't think anybody was expecting a modern comedy.
Well, no, the reason I say bastard, the reason I say that is because you totally know there's going to be people who say this movie sucks, it's not funny, it's drawn out, because modern comedies just, they do quantity instead of quality. So I was just preferencing
You
it.
only live once, so see the Pink
But
Panther
okay,
twice.
anybody though that can't see this movie as a product of the time, turn the show off. But
You heard
but
him.
I mean that being said, I mean it had
See you
a
next week.
it had a lot of good things going for it, for kind of going against movies of its time. It was like James said, it was a lot smarter because everything going on around Inspector Clouseau was pretty smart. It was kind of a heist movie. There was a lot of like sort of comedic cuts with the meanwhiles and things like that. But David Niven was playing a straight character with Sir Charles. What's his name? Really young Robert Wagner was playing that character, pretty straight.
And you young kids know him from Austin Powers.
Actually, most of the characters, except for Peter Sellers, were pretty straight, and even Peter Sellers' character was actually a pretty straight character.
It was really subtle the way he played it. I mean, he was a klutz, but this movie really rewarded you for paying attention.
Bumbling.
I'll be honest, this is actually the first time I've seen the first one.
Wow.
And reading about it and hearing about it, because I was originally expecting like very slapsticky, because that's literally the way I've heard it described. And maybe moments are possibly on the verge of that.
Okay, the old man in the street. That was funny.
Yeah.
I don't care
I
who
mean,
you are.
the cars all hitting each other at the same time. That's slapstick.
Yeah, that's like Keystone Cops. But
right in the beginning of the movie, when you're first introduced to Inspector Clouseau, he's standing there. He's kind of like deep in thought, and he's contemplating something. He kind of gives an angry spin to the globe, and he turns around and he's like, "We must find that woman," and then just does the greatest slip take on that globe. That sets the tone for his entire character there.
I love how the fact that globe just kept spinning. That's some pretty good ball bearings on that thing.
Yeah, they threw some graphite in those bearings.
So I guess James, any
I really do love Peter Sellers. He's actually a really funny comedian. He's got
an amazingly subtle comedian too.
Yeah. He's not one of those that goes up and smacks you in the side of the head with his comedy.
Well,
it's very subtle, and you actually have to kind of think about it a little bit to understand
Well, that's one of the reasons I kind of preference it what I said, because after watching this, I was giving this a lot of thought about. I could see there's kind of two audiences. One being who thought this is funny, and one who didn't see it was funny because they're used to quantity, not very well
Or
laid
they're
out.
used to potty jokes
Yeah, pretty much.
and somebody cussing to make a joke. And that's not what this movie is about. I think this is what, PG? Yeah, PG.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so.
So it's
I
PG.
mean, my mom showed this movie to me when I was a kid, man,
Yeah.
and it really holds up.
Yeah, it's a really funny movie, and by far my favorite scene is the old man in the middle of the street.
I love
That
the fact he
is-
just turned around.
That is just masterfully done. I mean, you got the old guy walking out. He doesn't have no idea what's going on. You see these monkeys and gorillas going by, and then this knight in a jeep with what was the other guy? He was in another car.
Jester.
Yeah, Jester.
My
Yeah.
favorite was the zebra, though.
Yeah,
the
the
horse.
zebra.
And that old guy just going, I give up.
Yeah, he just went over, sat down, and waited until they crashed, and then proceeded to walk down this street. But
This is the second Peter Sellers movie that I picked during this. A while back, I picked Dr. Strangelove,
Oh, yeah.
which he plays 3 characters in, and it was made a year after the Pink Panther. So I mean, it was what he did sort of in between, the 2 Pink Panthers. This is back when they were making, every actor's doing 2 or 3 movies a year. And there's some really interesting things about how Pink Panther kind of came about. Blake Edwards, who pretty much made his career doing Pink Panther movies, really liked Peter Sellers, but originally wanted to offer the role of Clouseau to some other British guy, and I can't remember his name. But the main character was really supposed to be Sir Charles. That was kind of sort of what the movie was supposed to be about. But everybody seemed to love Peter Sellers on the set so much that, I mean, they kind of quickly started cutting around him a lot more.
And
So that when David Niven originally took the role, he was hoping this was going to kind of launch like a series of movies for him. Not only did he kind of get bumped out of the main character spot, but it became a series of movies from Peter Sellers.
And you can totally see why just by watching this movie. The what's his name? The David Niven just really didn't take up the screen. He was important. That Peter Sellers just shined. Every scene he was masterfully done.
Yeah.
Even a little thing like the door popping off, the doorknob, and the Stradivarius. I loved that. I loved the scene, and you can see his wife, doing the not again,
I mean, that's one of my favorite things about his character, though, was how much he loved his wife, and how much he was so willing to dote on her. You know what I mean? That came so much comedy from the juxtaposition of their 2 characters, and she was a hysterical character also, with the running around behind him and all the physical comedy she was up to.
The bedroom scene is my favorite one. When you had David Niven under the bed, and you had Robert Ragnar somewhere else, and they're switching and going underneath. And I was really hoping that they would meet somewhere, and you get the, huh?
But you mean like the monkey scene?
Yeah.
Or the gorilla scene? Sorry,
See,
gorilla.
I guess that's one of the reasons
The
I guess
gorilla
this
scene.
movie is really good, because what you expected didn't always happen.
Yeah.
And that's the sign
Right.
of good comedy, because we kind of predict movies. If you don't believe us, ask our significant others. They kind of get tired of it. Any particular favorite scene? I mean, we know James's favorite scene being the old guy. Ryan, do you have any one that really stands out?
Oh man, well, like I said before, this movie really rewards paying attention.
Yeah.
And it's I don't know, it's probably a collection of little things, but I don't know, I hadn't given any thought to it right up until now. But I don't know, probably just the original scene that I was mentioning with Peter Sellers when you're first introduced to his character, the whole globe thing. I'll think about that scene from time to time, and I'll just start chuckling out loud. It's so funny.
The globe scene always gets, taken over by Inglourious Bastards globe scene.
Well,
Um, I'm gonna bow out of this particular section of the show because I'm not gonna start in that one.
Just distance yourself from James's opinion right now. That's all you need to do.
It's in the Globe.
Oh,
That was Mike Myers' best role.
true. I would actually say his best role was stealing Chris Farley's movie.
And you see how I got him not to bow out of that?
Yes, but I wasn't talking about Glorious Bastards. It's completely separate. I think I got two favorite scenes. One is a very quick scene after the Phantom slides down the rope. He lights it on fire
Yeah.
and runs away.
Yeah, the fuse rope. I love that.
That one actually stopped and made me think of like, oh, so he had to. So that's how he did it, you know. And the one is the bedroom scene, just because that poor woman running around in her bathrobe, you know, trying to stop her idiot husband from finding out.
The bumbling.
The bumbling, yeah. And the other thing, what's up with a music video in the middle? Like, you know, they had that chick singing.
That was kind of a 60s thing, though.
Yeah, it really was a product of its friggin' generation right there.
Because I was thinking, oh, great, it's going to be the beach blanket bingo section, but better done.
And the guys in the background.
Yeah. Actually, the best part of that scene was that one guy she grabbed. And he's like, huh? What? No.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, 1963. I mean, it was Beatlemania. You know what I mean? It was everything was British this, British that. You know what I mean? It was really the beginning. So that was that kind of early hippie. You know, let's just throw this thing right in the middle of a movie sort of thing. It's kind of shit they made fun of in Austin Powers. You know?
True. Because that really actually threw me off. I was thinking, once I saw it, I'm like, wow, Ryan wasn't kidding when he said this was a very 60s movie. This and Beach Blanket Bingo are like a typical 60s movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many amazing actually like actors in this movie. Like everybody did a great job. Every scene, you know, there was nobody who stole the scene from the other like you get in some of these comedies. So you can tell like they're trying to one up each other.
Oh, okay.
You know, they meshed very well, which you don't always see.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's because I just hate modern day comedies so much that I'm nitpicking scenes. Because I'm tired of potty humor, crass jokes, and very poor writing.
I think you need to go see the Betty White roast again.
I like
Who
that.
did she roast? I forget who she roast.
I don't remember, but that one was funny.
Yeah. Don't remember who they roast. I think it was Dave Carey, wasn't it? Anyway, Betty White talks about that exact same thing, where it's smart humor, not just potty jokes and cussing, just to try to make it seem extreme and even more funny.
Yeah, the suggestive humor versus
Yeah.
actually saying it.
Yeah.
Yeah, what you get a lot of nowadays is sort of this this kind of pretend edgy. People say the F word or say the C word or something like that to evoke a sort of a knee jerk response, but that's not the edge anymore. You know what I mean? It's the edge is no longer just saying a dirty word. You know, people got to try a little harder than that to make a joke or make a point. You know?
Yeah.
Totally. Oh man, I lost my train of thought.
So, you know, I could this one, and then I looked at the Steve Martin one, which I really will never watch. And this one has almost a complete 2-point higher rating on IMDb.
Is that
So
really?
I'm not really surprised, but it's nice to know that, you know, not all the people on IMDb are dumb, except for Mr. Bumbling over here, whoever wrote that. You could scratch that out. That'd be very handy.
So what is his version of the Pink Panther called?
The Pink Panther.
That's it? So it's just kind of like a bad reboot?
Yeah. Yeah, literally.
Yeah, that's pretty much exactly what it was. I mean, so much so that, I mean, everybody who's ever seen any of the original movies, you know what I mean, especially the sequels, because this is a set of movies that doesn't exactly need to suffer from the sequelitis situation, because they bring in Kato and the chief inspector guy, whose name I'm going to completely forget because it's been a decade. But it only gets funnier, and his character is so solid throughout them. Unfortunately, you know, Peter Sellers kind of didn't have very long of a career. He died pretty young. I think
Yeah,
he's in
1980.
I think it was
Yeah,
50
exactly.
something.
I mean, he had a 30-year career from 1950 to 1980, and made so much of an impact with his characters and his versatility. I mean, look at Pink Panther, and then the next year, Doctor Strangelove. I mean, he was kind of a phenomenon, but
Ryan?
and it seemed that he suffered. Huh?
Oh, sorry, you cut out there.
Oh, sorry.
I did want to say something. Talk about Peter Sellers. You talk about the Pink Panther this year. It was made in 1963, and next year being Doctor Strangelove. The difference between these two characters, one very comedic, the other one comedic but extremely serious. At least the overtone of the film.
Right. Well, the memorable character. He played 3 characters in
Yeah,
Strangelove.
yeah, true. So I would say that by itself shows you the range he was able to play, and not have it be like the similar character. Because you do
Right.
see comedians and actors and people like this like play different characters, but it's really the same character, just a different name, different shirt.
Yeah.
Like everything
Like
Arnold
Tom
Schwarzenegger's
Cruise.
ever done, and Tom Cruise. Mostly
Midget.
Mostly Tom Cruise. I would argue he does have a few good movies. A few.
Like A Few Good Men.
Last Samurai, Few Good Men, Minority Report, even
You
Days
know
of
what-
Did you
Thunder.
say Minority Report?
I actually thought it was pretty decent for his movies.
Oh, jeez.
I haven't seen that movie. I don't think all the way through. I that's one of those ones I feel like I might give a second chance to.
I wish you luck. I liked it, but I don't want to see it again.
Then
So-
go watch Paycheck right after it.
Oh,
Geez. So,
It'll make it look so much better.
so James, what did you give?
You know, I really do like this film. It's just one of those that is an all-time classic, and it did not need to be remade. Remake is not even out there for me. But, you know, for comedy, I think, you know, like you kind of said, it's a smarter comedy. There's really nothing like in your face type of thing. But for that, it's still a 3 out of 5.
Ryan?
I'm gonna go 3.5 out of 5, 3.5, man.
I forgot
'Cause
how to do
it's-
that.
Yeah, exactly. But it's I mean, the first one of the series, I think they almost got a little funnier, but and it got a little messy with the constant switch of the storytelling. But damn, this movie is almost greater than sort of the sum of its parts, you know.
I'll give this movie a 3 out of 5. There's definitely parts I liked, parts that I was kind of bored at. Overall, I actually liked the fact it was smarter humor and smarter attempt at humor
There you go.
than anything you get nowadays. You know, like Horrible Bosses 2, and you know all the other
I didn't see Horrible Bosses 2.
Hungover. You know, a typical crappy
Hot
comedies.
Tub Time Machine.
Ugh.
There you go.
And so gonna remind you all, we do have a Facebook page. You love us, hate us, write us. We'll read you on air, possibly, maybe. And how about, you know, donating a little money to Old Guy Tech TV so we can be like Accord Motels and leave the lights on. And Ryan, if you don't have any news, I have an idea for a segment I wanted to try.
Well, we could do that. I just want to bring up one quick, very short thing, just to try to get a reaction out of James. They're going to be rebooting the Masters of the Universe.
I'm kind of excited about that, but I was a He-Man fan.
I was kind of a Masters of the Universe fan.
Yeah, the whole thing I'm excited about.
Nah.
But on the other hand, I liked the original
care.
movie with Dolph Lundgren and that little hairy
That's
ape-looking.
what I'm sort of referring to. It's not necessarily the cartoon, the insane movie.
No,
Oh my God.
what was her name? There's a Courtney Cox,
Courtney Cox's first movie.
a young Courtney Cox. I'm
one?
excited.
Yeah, it's gonna be
The
something.
Masters Universe, the movie, she was in it with Courtney Cox, and I think the guy who
pay that much
who was in Voyager, Star Trek Voyager, who flew the ship. I think if you're guys a Trekkie,
You mean the Vulcan guy?
no, he was up front. I just don't remember his name.
Did he have a red shirt?
I probably. So
Just a question.
So here's my idea for a segment: movies they should never make another one or no more sequels. First one I
That's a
nominate
long
is
list.
The first one I nominate is Pink Panther. The second one I nominate is no more Terminator movies.
So basically, what I'm understanding is movies that should be retired, like a number on a jersey.
Yes, like like they'll permanently be banned from ever redoing, remaking, ever again.
I mean,
You know, you
goddamn,
could
I
have
could
done
go
that
through
before
just
Steve
90% of the stuff that we brought up as being remade.
What was that one that just came out?
Well, I do like attempt at remakes if they change it up. Like they're gonna make a new Zorro movie that's possibly gonna be post-apocalyptic.
See, I mean, but that's I mean,
Pacific Rim.
there's a 14 Zorro movies. You know?
Yes.
I mean, is that one of those ones that should be made about every decade? You know, like is it that kind of a story? Like there's Batman that I think is going to be made every 10 years for everybody's life ever.
But they already redid, Zorro.
Yeah,
his name is Puss in Boots.
And with Antonio Banderas, who oddly enough played Zorro in the movies. Yeah. The first one, which is decent, and the second one, which
is by no stretch the first one or the second.
Well, I'm talking
it's more like the one.
Well, yes, but I'm talking about Antonio Banderas, not the other 14 guys who played.
They shouldn't keep doing Three Musketeers.
Talking about a movie that's been remade quite a few times.
Like Three Musketeers?
Yeah, there's another one. I mean, it's just those sort of seminal stories that keep coming up, sort of generation.
One that they try to do like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon stuff with it. Was that the Musketeer?
That was,
The Musketeer or something like that?
There was Musketeers, and that was with Mila Djokovic. Please stop making movies. That's her new last name.
I think
she's okay. It's Kate Beckinsale. I have a problem.
I think it's Tim Roth was in that one too.
I take that back. It's Keira Knightley. I don't understand why she's a person.
Wait, she's still making.
I understand why she's a person.
I thought she was. I thought she just did period pieces in Disney pirate movies.
Oh man, it was ever since Domino that I just it really left a bad taste in my mouth.
I forgot about Domino. The idea of Keira Knightley as an assassin is just as funny.
I like the character Domino. It's just she just.
No, I don't like the character Domino.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the superhero Domino or the supervillain.
But it's just as funny as Denise Richards being a nuclear scientist.
Yeah, exactly. That's the same thing. I mean, a person who we're never gonna believe isn't kind of ditzy. I mean, you cast her as a nuclear physicist, regardless of whether she can play the role. We're just not going to believe it.
We were amazed she could breathe and speak her lines at the same time. Never mind give some of the dialogue in that movie.
Just like Keira Knightley, I sure if she can say the words convincingly, sure, but I'm not going to believe that this 92-pound girl is going to be a hit.
So is there any particular movies that they've made within, say, the last 20 years that you think they should never make another sequel of, or remake, reboot, whatever?
Yeah, The Last Starfighter.
Well, okay. Okay, I was going to ask, what's our criteria? Because they're so bad or because they're so good?
I'm not excited that they're remaking The Last Starfighter.
Here's my idea. My idea would be like, say, Terminator 2, that it was such a good, groundbreaking movie that every movie they've tried to make after it is trying to catch lightning in a bottle, and they've failed every time.
Like The Matrix Reloaded?
Yeah, like
or was it redo?
Like every movie after the first Matrix.
No, hold.
Reloaded.
Okay,
before
dude,
or after
don't
redo?
make me be the one that has to defend these movies. Are you kidding me?
Well,
defend them.
We're gonna save this argument for another episode because I have an idea for an episode. So, but is there any movies like that? Would the criteria meet? I mean, you get the rough idea.
Okay, and this is we're not starting it today?
Fine, go. I just want to know what movies you guys think they should never make another of them. Like, Land Before Time. There's 20 of them. I mean,
Never any story.
Well, but that's
Labyrinth. If you guys ever remake Labyrinth, I will stab you with a pin.
David Bowie's a little old now.
He was a little old to be doing that then too.
The reasons we didn't like Labyrinth were many, but
I would say
Last Unicorn.
I would say the reason why I didn't like Labyrinth is I was forced to watch it more than any human should possibly ever watch it.
Did you have a cruel babysitter or something?
No, it's called his sister.
Oh, same thing.
Almost. Watching him as Ziggy Stardust back in the 70s stoned off his ass would be a lot more amusing than watching the
Shit, I
Labyrinth
love
movie.
Ziggy.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'll watch that. That's okay.
Yeah, totally.
But the outfits he was wearing in Labyrinth were not kid approved.
So
You know what? The one thing I do want to point out, since we brought up Labyrinth, somebody should get something out of this. If everybody was ever fascinated with the whole hand juggling with the clear crystal ball thing,
Yeah.
the guy that was actually doing that in the movie is named Mike Motion. He's an incredible juggler. Look that dude up on YouTube.
Okay.
So James would nominate never another Labyrinth remake, which are they going to? I mean, I hope not.
You would be surprised. They're redoing The Last Starfighter.
I think they're trying to do it right this time. Ryan?
See, that's the thing is I could almost make a case for anything being never remade or remade. You know, it's
Well, is there any movie that you love that's just your favorite movie that you know if they remake, they're going to screw it up?
The Professional.
Yeah, Leon the Professional. I think.
well, yeah, Star Wars. If somebody tries to
I'm sorry, you cut out. What was that, Ryan?
I said Star Wars. If anybody ever tries to reboot Star Wars, then they should be immediately murdered in this town square.
So here's
That's a death threat, George.
So here's the best thing about George not being involved, he can't make any new versions of it. Here's just hoping Disney can splice together the original footage to re-release the theatrical version. But what do you think about what Disney's doing? It's a reboot.
No,
But
it's
it's-
not. It's expanding
it's a
the story.
continuation.
Well,
It's
it's a
not
little
at
bit-
all
but-
a reboot.
Well, I mean, it's a reboot in the fact that they're basically they're not doing prequels. It's a true
I'm sorry.
sequel.
What part of this is a reboot?
Yeah, that's what
Because they're kind of starting over with new characters. It's kind of giving them
What
a
are you
push.
talking about? No, they're not.
Yeah, they're introducing new characters in
Yes,
this.
they're introducing new characters.
Introducing new characters because they weren't in the other ones. They hadn't gotten there yet. It's not
Yeah.
a reboot.
It's a continuation.
It's a
Okay.
continuation.
So it's a continuation. But I mean, so what do you think? I mean,
Oh, we gotta add continuations into this now too?
no, well, because I think in theory you could probably call it reboot-ish. Because honestly, from what I've heard, they're only really gonna do like cameos of the original
What
characters.
are you talking about?
This is what I've heard. I've heard they're going to be a lot of
hearing
cameos.
completely bullshit. I slap the people you're hearing this from.
Like, this is all this stuff they've read because there's not a whole lot of people have actually seen the film. Like from what I've read, which has been very little, Han Solo and Princess Leia may not be as big as they were, because it's going to be handing off to the
Well,
next
They're
generation.
old. They shrink.
They
But
shrink.
it's like we're talking about like the kids of main actors and things like that. You know, or main characters, actors.
Yeah.
That are continuing the story of the Force and this Star Wars universe. It's like the farthest thing from a reboot you can be. It's just the next chapter.
The
They're
strangest
just
thing.
old now, so they're not going to be still kicking ass and.
The strangest thing is I've been reading that they want to do a standalone movie with Han Solo,
That doesn't sound good.
which they couldn't do with Harrison Ford, so they would have to do a young Han Solo.
Well, see, if I mean the
So
one
no
that everybody
refrigerator.
wants is a Boba Fett movie. If anything, do a standalone Boba Fett movie.
Yeah, because
They pretty much did some standalone Boba Fett stuff with the cartoons that Disney was continuing the story with Clone Wars, and what's the new one they have?
it's
Rebels?
Yeah,
That's sort of my point. Is Star Wars the property of Star Wars has been such a carefully elaborate, really meticulous way that they put everything out in the order that they put everything out. Everything to do with the video games through the little novellas that they put out and things like that. Everything has a continuity. So when they sold it to Disney, it's
Except
not like
for
Disney
the
was
original
just gonna.
Clone Wars, and then the cartoon Clone Wars, and then the.
I would say it's all
Cartoon
a
Network
marketing
store.
gimmick to sell toys, because that's how George Lucas made his fortune, was off of those rights to it.
I mean, you think he
Well,
gets
of course,
cuts off those
but
eBay
You have
the
to understand
eBay sales?
the universe that's been created, regardless if it was for toys. The sandbox that we're playing in is enormous because he wrote it all down.
Oh no, totally. the rumor has it the holocron or something. It was apparently some Star Wars, the overall universe that only George Lucas and a few other people had access to.
Right.
That's all Disney's property. The thing I'm interested in, this is kind of getting off the movie a little bit, is they basically destroyed the expanded universe and now they're making true canon. That's the part I'm excited to see how they pull that off. Because everything we know off the stories and off the books and off any the sequel of the original 3 are now basically no longer good.
Well, yeah, they kind of forgot about the extended, like you said, the extended universe. They're following sort of the main kind of plot features of the original 3.
Yeah, because I'm really
about Skywalker in that path.
Yeah, that's Skywalker is the only person I'm excited to see because I want to see. I'd love to see the battle between his good side and dark side.
Okay.
I think that would be amazing.
Okay.
No, what? Are you ready to go home? I mean,
I'm just wondering what the hell you're.
Well, because you see like the Emperor and how crazy and how Vader is, and
But
then you
they're
see.
not gonna do that with the Skywalker's character.
How do you know?
I mean, do you really think that they're gonna have that much Hamill in this one?
Yeah, he's going to be a pretty small part in it. Also, he's going to have probably a cameo as like Yoda, you know,
See,
like in the first couple.
The only thing I could think of with him is since he's pretty much the only Jedi Master left, period, that I think he's gonna be a little bit more involved in it, just story wise, than
But he
anybody
already had
else.
his light and dark battle on.
Dagobah.
Thank
But
you,
yeah,
Dagobah.
but what happens if he never actually was over that? Time goes on and it's still a battle because he got one battle. I just would love to see.
Well, he went on to complete his. Look, there's no need to talk about this. It's all going to be explained in the movie, I imagine.
Well, yeah, we kind of remove movies. There's a lot of stuff we don't have to talk about, but we do. I mean,
I'm just saying. I mean, we're just going to get into like the canon of the story, which I'd have to like start looking up again because he did go on to complete his training. Leia has a kid. I think he has a kid with somebody. He got married, and then his kids are going to be guys.
But according to what's new is Han Solo has a wife and it's not Princess Leia.
No, it's Chewie's sister.
And so I guess we'll have to see because that was the one, so hopefully we're going to pick that movie for December because if I remember correctly, that's when it comes out, the new Star Wars.
Yeah.
But that being said, it's theater pick, and so what are we doing next week?
I guess I'm overruled and we're seeing Ant-Man.
Okay, so we're doing Ant-Man. You can tell how excited he is to see the end of Phase 2 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah, I feel sorry for the 8 people that have to sit around him in the movie theater.
Right? He's going to be a miserable son of a gun. So with that...
Yeah, just 14 seconds. Bullshit!
Step on him! Get some bug spray!
They explain that in the movie, I hope.
Get some bug spray.
With that being said, I gave the Pink Panther a 3 out of 5. James got a 3 out of 5. Ryan gave it a 3.5 out of 5. And the old guy's not here, so we have no idea what he gave it. And next week is Ant-Man, and as always, we'll see you next week.
Goodbye.